It's time to answer the decade-old question, who's better, Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds or Liam's solo career? And I don't know if this is actually a question people like to ask, but I think it's going to be great. So what I've done is I've got 10 different categories. No, I've got 11 actually. Why didn't I make it 10? I don't know, but I've got 11 different categories that we're going to go through. We're going to compare and see, finally, who's better. And I know they've got this tour coming up, the return tour, and yes, I did try to get tickets. Very unsuccessful with that, but this isn't anything serious, obviously. I think they've both got some great music, but yeah, let's get into it. So the first category I've got is how many albums. So yeah, we've got some about stats and some about, actual how much you like the music, but the first one is a stats one. Who has more studio albums? Well, the problem with this is they both actually have 4. High Flying Bird started in 2011, and then they made Chasing Yesterday, Who Built the Moon, and Council Sky, so that's their 4. And then Liam Gallagher caught up last year with Liam Gallagher and John Squire, because he actually only started in 2017, so much more consistent he was with As You Were, Why Me, Why Not, Come On You Know, and Liam Gallagher and John Squire, which was obviously last year's one. I really like that album. I've not completely listened to Come On You Know yet, but I've listened to the other 3 all together. So since they both have 4, I'm going to give them both 3 points. So why 3 and not 1, you're probably thinking? Well, out of our 11 categories, they can be either important, not important. I've not thought of these beforehand. You know what I mean? There's 3 levels of importance. So this one I put as a most important. It's important how many studio albums. If they just make 2 and then leave, BDI, then of course somebody with more things to listen to, of course they're going to be a few more points in this debate. So that's an important thing. But for example, the next category we've got consistency, as in how consistent the gap between albums is. That's our next category. It doesn't really, it's good, to have good consistency between albums, but is it necessarily an important thing? Not really. So this category is only going to be worth 1. So all the categories can be worth 1, 2 or 3, so we can see accurately who is the best. So this one's literally just a small thing. Liam does obviously win with this one, because on average the High Flying Birds have an album every 3.5 years since they started in 2011, and Liam has an album once every 2 years since he started in 2017. Again, it doesn't really matter, but that is 1 extra point for Liam at the moment. So the next thing is gonna be another stats thing. I think we're gonna start with the stats and then get to the lyrics and things like that. So the next thing we've got is actual total streams, across Spotify. So this was really close, and I think this is an important thing. So this category is going to be worth 3. This is a good gauge of how popular they are, so how good they are. I know that doesn't mean anything. You can be good without many streams, but yeah, it's going to be worth 3. Okay, it's very close, but Noel's High Flying Birds does actually take it by about 20 million streams. Liam Gallagher has about 700 million streams altogether, but Noel has about 720, so very close there. Obviously, Noel Gallagher's most popular song is If I Had a Gun, really cool one. And my favorite, by the way, let me just say it, my favorite song from them is In the Heat of the Moment, their second most popular song, but If I Had a Gun's cool as well. And Liam doesn't have a song over 100 million, unlike High Flying Birds, but Wall of Glass is Liam's most popular song. Anyway, as I said, it's a very close thing, and Noel does secure 3 more points. So the next thing is going to be something that's worth 2. It doesn't really matter. It can show you a bit about how good they are, I guess. So next we've got the average peak chart for a single. Let me just explain quickly. They've all released singles, different amounts of singles. High Flying Birds got a few more than Liam Gallagher, but on average, where do they chart? And their peak charts. So I'll just say it is Liam that takes this victory. On average, a single from the High Flying Birds charts at 45th, but remember, this is in the UK we're talking about here, probably not close in America. In fact, they probably don't chart in America. But Liam Gallagher usually peaks at 25th for a single. But this isn't a really important thing, and I personally don't really like the chart system of gauging how popular something is. I like to say that, for example, if a really good song was released in the same month as like a Taylor Swift song, you know, then it would be pushed down a bit more, whereas if it was released in a different month, it might be number one. So the charts really don't tell you much, in my opinion, but you can definitely say that, you know, the difference here, there's a 20-point difference between the average single peak thing, whatever. That's quite significant, and I think that Liam Gallagher deserves 2 more points for that. We're going to leave the statistics for a bit. We can actually start to talk about, you know, the actual music. And, well, I just said that, but the first thing we're going to be looking at is actually the lyrics. And is this even a question? Lyrics are important. It's not just about the music, okay? And is this even a question? You've got the songwriter in one, and you've got the frontman in the other. Come on, it's going to be the High Flying Birds, isn't it? When you've got Noel writing lyrics, it's not even close. And Liam Gallagher has some cool stuff, okay? But it's not really a question, is it? I'm going to give them 2 points for that. The next one is the final 1 category. I only put 2 categories that were worth 1 point. And yeah, it's YouTube subscribers, okay? I was thinking of another category, and that came to my mind, because this shows, I guess, how many fans they've got. I don't know if this is actually that significant, so that's why I said that it's only worth 1 point. And who takes this 1 point? Well, it's going to be Liam Gallagher. Liam's got 503,000 subscribers at the time I'm recording this, so it's probably a bit more by now. And Noel's got, or the High Flying Birds, have got 387,000. Next, we've got how many albums do they have that reach number 1? So what this means is literally just they've obviously both got 4 out of the 4 who had the most number 1 albums peak. And this, it was very close, obviously. This does go to Liam again, so this is going to be another 2 points. This is quite, you know, it's quite important, but nothing incredibly important, so 2 points for this, because all 4 of Liam Gallagher's albums got to number 1 on the albums charts peak. Only the first 3 did for the High Flying Birds. Their Council Sky's most recent album, which I haven't even heard a single song off. In fact, I should probably listen to it, but it didn't really perform that well commercially, I don't think, so it did not get to number 1, leaving Liam with 2 more points. We've got 4 categories left, so the next one we've got is complexity. So this one is obviously about how music, you know, how many different instruments you've got. And again, this one is not really a question, is it? This one does go to High Flying Birds as well. I feel like the High Flying Birds make albums specifically, and Liam Gallagher had some great albums, but the songs by themselves shine a bit more. And generally this means that the music, the complexity is really great in the High Flying Birds. In fact, the 2 things I just said there aren't really related, are they? They kind of just came to my mind, but what I'm trying to say is I think I'm struggling to get this point across. Music of the High Flying Birds is a bit more complex. You can definitely tell while listening. And of course, complexity isn't always a good thing, but I think it's a better thing than a bad thing. So it does secure 2 more points for the High Flying Birds. And on the opposite side of this, so I guess this kind of just balances it out. I don't really know how to put this in one word, engagement. And by this, I just mean how catchy a song is, how anthemic it is, potential to be a hit, things that you can like blast. You know what I mean. And yeah, you can kind of tell that this just balances the other one out. I didn't want to put a lyrics category and a complexity category without, like, you know, an opposite thing. So of course Liam Gallagher gets 2 points for having, you know, things like Wall of Glass. His music's definitely still got that rock element. Things like the first album, of course, has some beautiful songs like Chinatown, Paper Crown. Ooh, I just realised that both of them rhyme. Chinatown, Paper Crown. Anyway, A Wall of Glass, Come Back to Me from their first album, really, really cool. Things like Why Me, Why Not, Everything's Electric. All of these are just, you know, like proper rock hits. And not rock hits, rock hits. And yeah, what I mean is they're more engaging for a listener than just complex music. And I'm trying. The way I'm trying to word this is not making the other sound bad while praising, you know, the one that's won that category, because obviously High Flying Birds has some great songs, but I think that Liam Gallagher has a bit more engagement in the songs, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't. In fact, I'm probably rambling. Let's move on to the final 2. Both of these are important ones. These have got nothing to do with the music and nothing to do with stats. This is personal preference and community. And by community, which we'll do first, I mean I've put a poll on my channel like a month ago, maybe a bit more. High Flying Birds or Liam Solo. I also put BDI in. I didn't think anybody would vote for BDI. I mean, that's probably a bit mean, isn't it? But yeah, I put it in anyway, and somebody did vote for it. So as you know, small YouTuber here, not many votes on the polls. I got 8 votes, which is even less than I usually get. I usually get about, like, 10 to 30. 8, that's not great. But what happened was I didn't really expect this. We got a massive majority voting for the High Flying Birds. Out of the 8, 6 people voted for High Flying Birds. That really doesn't sound that good. When you look at the poll here, 75%, that's outstanding. I really didn't expect to see that. I don't know if this represents, the general public, or did I just happen to get a lot of Noel fans? You'll have to tell me in the comments yourself who you prefer. But I feel like since it was such a landslide victory that we're gonna have to give 4 points instead of 3 to the High Flying Birds. It really caught me off guard. I didn't expect so many people to click it. I guess people really prefer the High Flying Birds, which brings me to personal preference, because now I feel a bit by myself in my opinion, because I personally do prefer Liam Gallagher's solo stuff, especially As You Were. That album is so good, and I'm also in love with his most recent album, Liam Gallagher and John Squire. Some really, March to Liverpool, so good. I love that song, and so many others on that album. Why me, why not? I guess it's good. It's definitely his worst of the 4, but definitely not bad either. And come on, I've not completely listened to yet, but it's still cool from what I've listened to. Everything's electric. It's really good. And as for Noel Gallagher, I've literally just listened to less, so it's definitely possible that as I listen to all the albums that it becomes better. But as I've listened to the first album, which had a few cool songs, but generally it was overall the songs were just okay, and it was more of an album experience than just songs. And same goes for Chasing Yesterday, but there were a few better songs on that. I've not finished Who Built the Moon. I've listened to a few songs, and I've not even touched Council Skies yet. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of why I prefer Liam Gallagher. It's just a personal preference. You couldn't go into detail about it. I just do like the music more. We've kind of ended up in a bit of a predicament here. 14-14. Now I could take that 1 point away from Noel Gallagher for having the epic landslide victory, but I feel like that would be a bit mean now, and they definitely deserved it after absolutely destroying Liam Gallagher in my poll. 14, I could add a new category, but what would it be? I thought for ages for those categories. By the way, thinking of categories to rate songs on to rate artists on is actually quite hard. That's where I pulled YouTube subscribers from. Like, that doesn't matter one bit, really, does it? I could take that one away, and then it'd make it 14-13 to Noel Gallagher and High Flying Birds. But I think we should keep it as 14-14 so that we can let the comments decide. Good YouTubing here. No, tell me in the comments your favourites, and we'll see who takes it in the comments. If it's different from the poll, yeah, we'll see. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a like down below. If you enjoy my content, subscribe, and also comment in if you're excited for their upcoming tour.